First and foremost, before I get into any of the topics in this video, I just want to say rest in peace to the Warriors assistant coach who just passed from a heart attack at 46, gone absolutely way too young, and to all those affected, I'm wishing you well, and my thoughts and prayers go out to all those impacted by this loss. So, something big, but not really that big, just happened in the NBA. Pascal Siakam just got traded to the Pacers right now for Bruce Brown, 3 first-round picks, and the Raptors got also in the deal Kira Lewis from the Pelicans, and it's not really clear what the Pelicans got, but probably just like cash considerations or something along those lines, just trying to dump his contract, right? So the 3-team deal, main pieces obviously Bruce Brown going to the Raptors. I was curious to see if they flipped him immediately. I'm sure that they will flip him eventually to like complete this trade, but you know as of right now, he's still in Toronto. I believe he's playing his first game tonight, which will be yesterday when this video goes up. I have a ton of videos pre-recorded that are, coming out in the next couple of weeks here. I did a whole lot of pre-recording, which was dumb of me because the trade deadline was coming up. So any videos that I do mentioning Pascal Siakam, just know that was recorded way before any of this happened. My initial thoughts on this are kind of mixed. I think that Pascal Siakam is going to do really well in Indiana, but I just feel like Bruce Brown was one of those pieces that Indiana got in the offseason because they need that defensive flexibility. I mean, a team that's already not great on defense, losing that, type of player, like Bruce Brown is the guy you need on a championship team. Like he is. And I'm sure a championship team is going to trade for him from Toronto, give up some young guys. I'm not trying to say that Pascal is not an upgrade from Bruce Brown, and I do think Pascal fits better with what the system the Pacers have right now with all the movement. They have an incredible amount of spacing. They have Turner. I mean, I don't know what their exact lineup is going to look like. Could be something like Halliburton, maybe Mathurin or Buddy Hield, who hasn't been getting a lot of minutes, so maybe he gets more playing time. Maybe he starts. I don't really know if they're going to continue to keep Mathurin off the bench. I really don't know what they're going to do, but you have those guys at 1, 2, 3, possibly maybe Neesmith starts. And I think the win for the Pacers is that you got to keep your young guys. Like you didn't have to give up Mathurin or, Jarris Walker. So that's a win. But I don't know. I feel like Bruce Brown is a really big piece of this team. So it's hard to lose a guy like that. The positional versatility, defensive versatility, like he can play a lot of different split like spaces. That really helps with the rotations. He does a lot of things, right? Like that's the simplest way you can say it. And 3 firsts for an expiring contract is it again, if they re-sign Pascal in the offseason, which reports say that he's willing to consider a contract, that's one thing, right? Like if they get to re-sign him and he's a big piece of this like team contending, but that's really where we need to transition. Are they contenders? Like the East is really hard right now, and there's still a lot of dominoes that are going to be falling. This is the first big one, like the first big guy that we knew was probably going to getting traded. And I think the Pacers got better. I don't know how much better they got. I still like they can score the ball. They're going to score the ball like crazy. Like this is going to be a really good offense. I don't think they've addressed the defensive issues. If anything, they've brought up more defensive questions than they've gathered answers. Not that Pascal is a bad defender, but I really think Bruce Brown did a lot for this team. And maybe I'm a casual, maybe I don't know that. You know what I mean? Time will tell in that regard. But for a team that's already not great defensively to lose a really good defensive player, no disrespect to Miles Turner, he's great, but you're asking a lot now out of the perimeter defenders on the team. I will say this though, a lot of their defensive issues are really from the pace at which they play. Like they play quickly. So naturally they're going to score a lot of points and give up a lot of points, not because their defense is bad, but just because both teams are getting extra possessions. So their natural, you know what I mean? Like defensive metrics are going to be inflated because they are playing at such a fast pace, right? So that is to be understood. And again, when this Pacer team get hot, you know what I mean? They are hot, but it's just, I don't know that this is the type of team that can really make that championship push just because of the defensive aspect. Like there's going to be games where your offense goes cold and you need to get stops. And I'm not sure that this Pacers team is going to be able to get those stops down the stretch when they're trying, to pull out a close game. That's my issue, my concern. But again, there's still time. Maybe they make some more moves. We're yet to see that. As for Toronto, you got 3 first-round picks for an expiring player. I don't know if they trade Bruce Brown or if they keep him. That's really where this trade for them depends, because some of these picks that they're getting are going to be good, but it's just really bizarre the way that they have chosen to rebuild around Scotty Barnes. I really don't know how I feel about it, because you get RJ Barrett around him. Don't really know how that's going to fit. Obviously, Scotty was kind of struggling the last couple of weeks because of the RJ addition, who's taking a lot of shots, and then Pascal kind of needs his shots, so he got phased out. I think it's a good trade in terms of just getting Scotty the ball more. He needs the ball to develop, and RJ needs to, work with him and figure out a way to play off of each other. I don't think their play styles work, but that's what everyone said about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Doesn't stop them from winning. You can still build a team around them, but you know, it's just kind of interesting to see now what they're going to do going forward. It just feels like they keep doing this thing where they're trying to not fully commit to the tank and acquire all this win now type of talent when they don't have the type of roster to compete even for a playoff seed right now. So Toronto, for me, looking at this, is it's kind of a weird trade outside of the picks. Obviously, you got a lot of picks and you got a good player. We need to see if they keep Bruce Brown or if they flip him before I can evaluate that side of it. And then, yeah, obviously the Pelicans are kind of irrelevant in this deal. They just dump salary, right? Maybe they have a big move coming. I don't know. Maybe they just want to get him off the books. Who knows? But that's really where with Toronto, I'm do you need Bruce Brown right now? You're kind of wasting him. Again, they're not trying to tank, but they're definitely not going to be a super great playoff team. You just lost your 2 veterans in Siakam and Anunoby. That's obviously some level of an impact, a toll that's going to take on your team. I don't really have a ton of thoughts outside of that. It's really just the Pacers are going to be awesome. They're going to win a lot of games in the regular season, and they have a nice piece now, like a second star, but I just don't know who, maybe they can upset someone in the first round, like maybe the Cavs, like how the Knicks upset the Cavs last year in the first round. Maybe they could do that. I just don't see them knocking out anybody in the top 4. And assuming that the top 4 would be something along the lines of Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, and Miami, I guess. I don't know how they would ever match up with New York. New York's going to definitely have to make a big splash too. The East is definitely forming a hierarchy, and that doesn't really bode well for teams like the Magic, who are already kind of in a spot. There's going to be a video that comes out a while from now. Again, I mentioned Pascal Siakam in that. Just ignore all of the Pascal Siakam mentions in the next videos until February, basically. Oops, that bad time to pre-record. I already said it. Whatever. Bruce Brown is a good player, and if the Raptors were trying to compete, he would be a great addition to their team. I just think that what his value is right now is definitely worth cashing in on as well. And obviously, I was going to wait and see. Maybe they would add that to the deal, but it doesn't look like they're going to trade him just yet. So probably going to have to be a separate video down the line. Indiana's good. They'll probably be, up there in the East. It's really hard to get past that 4 spot. You got to overtake somebody like Miami, New York. You have to overtake Cleveland too. The East is kind of rough in that middle patch, and I don't think any series right now is going to be easy. I don't really know a ton of Eastern Conference teams that we're looking at him. I mean, he's Pascal Siakam. We know what he is. He's a good veteran. He won a championship with Kawhi Leonard. He has playoff experience. He's a very good basketball player. And I think the Pacers are really going to like that veteran leadership. Again, the point that I'm always going to come back to is the worry of, do they have the championship style of play? And is it going to translate in the playoffs? And to answer that question, only time will tell.